always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to an alignment of sorts. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers. Author Rebecca Solnit says this about some of the benefits that accompany the act of moving our bodies from here to there. And I quote, "Walking, ideally, is a state in which the mind, the body, and the world are aligned, as though there were three characters finally in conversation together. Three notes suddenly making a chord." Walking allows us to be in our bodies and in the world without being made busy by them. It leaves us free to think without being wholly lost in our thoughts. The rhythm of walking generates a kind of rhythm of thinking, and the passage through a landscape echoes or stimulates the passage through a series of thoughts. Unquote. Walking, then, is just one of many ways to realign ourselves when we feel like our systems are out of whack. There are others, as you'll see this hour, with Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers, now on demand from CHFI.com. Lights to Drive My Soul, and Otis Redding on the dock of the bay. We sometimes head north to the cottage to align our souls, and perhaps end up sitting in a Muskoka chair on a dock that leads out over the waters of a placid lake. And who hasn't driven late at night in front of another car with its headlights out of adjustment? It's enough to drive you crazy. Just the simple act of driving can upset your whole day. But the drive can even help to put things back into perspective. Mary E. Powter, writing in the September 28, 1999 issue of the Berkshire Eagle in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, said, and I quote, "It is a fall morning washed with light. After days of mist and showers and driving rain, the sun seems like a gift, an invitation to get out and live. I drive my son Robert to his school through the Massachusetts farm country, the first job of every school day. When you make a commitment to send your child to a private school, it isn't only a financial one. You sign on for hours on the road driving up and down the mountain. But today, the driving seems like a gift. To look at the shafts of morning light streaming through the trees, the dappled, shifting shadows, the mist rising off the river that inspires the twists and turns of the road's sinuous course, the quaint barns, the ropey, twisted apple trees that grow to the road's edge and drop their bounty of fruit for any taker, the flock of wild turkeys that gawk and startle at my car's sight and sound, and then stretch their scrawny necks and pick their steps from harm's way. Jigsaw, spotted dairy cows, all aligned in one direction, rest in green fields that roll and stretch up hillsides. So pretty. I would want to take a picture, were it not for the fact that I see this nearly every day." Unquote. Some lines later, she continues, and again I quote, "Passing through, observing, is how we first learn about places and how we finally come to know them. to take them into ourselves as part of our territory, even as part of our identity. It is how we come to belong. Early one morning, I had to drive through the area known as Spruce Corner. It is lucky that there is a sweeping curve there in the road. It makes you slow down and lets you look. First, at the brick farmhouse and the barn that sits at the side of the road. The sun was rising behind the little walled-off cemetery right past the corner, backlighting the gravestones with an aura, casting long, dark, regimented rectangular shadows. Mist rose from the glistening grass. All was still. The grass and shrubbery were trimmed to perfection. The old iron gate stood straight and black with paint. As many times as I had driven past, I had never seen the cemetery in such a light. I slowed the car to a stop. Still loved, I thought. Still cared for those spirits. And now I know something of the people who keep that cemetery. Sometimes it takes the eye of the artist or the photographer or the poet or just the stranger to show us what we have been looking at all along, but not really seeing. Sometimes it takes a different light. But once you see your surroundings in the light of your own unwavering affection, you can never see them any other way. Unquote. The words and feelings of writer Mary E. Powter, her observations as well, from the September 28, 1999 issue of the Berkshire Eagle in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Lovers and Other Strangers. From CHFI.com. Krista Burgh, In a Country Churchyard, a much-loved churchyard, and Seal's Kiss from a Rose. Scott Russell Sanders from The Paradise of Bombs, published by the University of Georgia Press, wrote, "There is a mystical virtue in right angles. There is an unspoken morality in seeing the level and the plumb. A house will stand. A table will bear weight. The sides of a box will hold together only if the joints are square and the members upright. When the bubble is lined up between two marks etched in the glass tube of the level, you have aligned yourself with the forces that hold the universe together." Scott Russell Sanders, published by the University of Georgia Press. Lovers and Other Strangers. From CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers, now on demand 24/7 from the CHFI website. Hayley Sales with What You Want, Lifehouse with You and Me, and Bryan Adams, Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Peter Sellers, theater producer, not the movie star, was quoted by Bill Moyers in A World of Ideas 2, published by Doubleday, as saying, and I quote, "Vocal music is an attempt to take the whole human being and project it into space. It is the ultimate gesture of getting out of yourself. You take a part of you that is most private, most personal, most inward, and you hurl it out into space. You project it as far as you can. That gesture of opening this whole region of the body results in an enormous spiritual release and is felt by other people with tremendous impact. Peter Sellers, theater producer. In the Bill Moyers book, A World of Ideas 2, published by Doubleday. What an eloquent thought. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers, online and on demand from CHFI.com. Sheriff, when I'm with you and Whitney Houston, and I will always love you. So let's take it to an even higher degree. This is called Love's Sonata by Daphne Rose Kingma, from her book of days, A Garland of Love, published by Canary Press. She writes, and I quote, "The hallmark of a good relationship is that it is generally harmonious. Whatever other characteristics, flaws, or faults it may have, in its essence, it is harmonious. At its core, it possesses an intrinsic sense of just rightness. This means that even in the midst of all the things that go awry in your relationship, even in the presence of all the things that you yourselves perpetuate upon it, you will come again and again to the still point at its center, the basso continuo, against which the ever-altering melodies of your relationship will endlessly play themselves out. So, no matter how out of tune your relationship may seem at the moment, allow yourself now to feel again the resonance at its center. There is no more powerful thematic resolution than acknowledging the harmony of your individual instruments." Unquote. Daphne Rose Kingma, from a wonderful book called A Garland of Love, published by Canary Press. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Daniel Powter, At the End of a Bad Day, and Celine Dion, Because You Loved Me. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. We go to see a chiropractor when we feel we need a physical alignment. One of the most natural ways to align our energy centers is a good long hug. From a Richard Baker article that appeared in the January 15th, 1991 issue of The Inquirer, Dr. Isidore Zifferstein was quoted as saying, "Hugging is a miracle medicine that can relieve many physical and emotional problems." Unquote. Jim Little, writing in The Art of Hugging, published in 1983, wrote, "A good hug is quite simple, yet very profound. The most nurturing single gesture that I have discovered is to hold a person at the base of the head and the base of the spine, because that is how babies are picked up. It automatically and subconsciously reminds you and the other person of love, trust, nurturing, and support, and it aligns your energy centers." Jim Little goes on to write, and again I quote, "A fleeting hug never has enough time for the energy to flow and build. It's similar to gulping down your food. It is a comfortable embrace. For approximately 15 seconds, you breathe normally. I emphasize breathing normally because many people hold their breath and wonder if they can last out the 15 seconds. You actually will find yourself breathing more deeply than normally because you are involved in a sharing of energy and need more oxygen, not less. This generally results in your breathing in unison, unquote. Jim Little, from The Art of Hugging, published in 1983. I can't think of a better way to get yourself back into alignment. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.